Hi, this is Mandar Marathe. In this video, I am going to talk about content marketing. So let's try to understand what content marketing is and why is it relevant for digital marketing. So to define content marketing, it's a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience and ultimately to drive profitable customer action. Let's break down this definition into multiple parts. First and foremost, content marketing is strategic in nature, which means it's a long term aspect of digital marketing. Next, you need to create and distribute content. Content marketing is not just about creating content, but it is also about making sure that the content reaches the right audience. What type of content should you be creating? You should be creating content that is valuable, relevant, and produce it on a consistent basis. Which means, let's say if you are creating blogs, you need to consistently write blogs every week. Or if you are producing a podcast episode, you would want to put out a podcast every day. So you're creating valuable and relevant content for your target audience to attract them and retain them. Every time you create content and you put out content on multiple platforms, you're doing so to attract the relevant audience and to retain them, which means you want them to keep coming back and consume your content. And finally, content marketing drives profitable customer action, which means the content that you are going to produce would be with a purpose of driving profitability from a customer perspective. Let's say you have wanting to produce a video. Before actually going ahead and recording the video, you would want to determine what profitable action will it drive. Is it video views that you are going to measure, or is it click throughs from the video to your website and subsequent actions that the users will take is what you need to measure. When done correctly, content marketing helps you to build a relationship with your audience, and this leads to trust. Now, what does trust lead to? Trust leads to a long term business relationship. The customer will start trusting you since you are putting out content, and once they trust you, they will want to do business with you and buy from your website. So content drives a long-term relationship which leads to business, which might leads to sales or through purchases for your e-commerce website. Content is the message that your content strategy delivers. You can create content in multiple formats, whether it is blogs, website pages, infographics, videos, any format of content. Without content, you essentially have nothing to deliver, which means what's the message that the different content formats or types of content need to communicate? The message is the content. How does content marketing and inbound marketing work together? Inbound marketing takes the user through an entire journey starting from attract, where they might come to your website through blogs or through your social media websites platforms. Once they are on your website, they will convert, which means they will provide you the information that you want from them. And finally, once these leads are nurtured through either marketing automation or email workflows, they will convert to customers. Some of these customers can also be served with content such as surveys or you could monitor their social media habits and serve them specific content so that these customers become promoters of your business. Now, content marketing is the fuel for inbound marketing. At every stage of inbound marketing, whether it is attract, engage, or delight, content marketing is going to be the fuel that will drive the related action. Both inbound as well as content marketing focus on three aspects. One is empowering potential customers, building a long lasting relationship with your audiences, and creating valuable content that entertains and educates your audiences. Success of your digital marketing relies on both. It is not either or that you can choose between inbound marketing and content marketing. Like I said earlier, content is the fuel to your inbound marketing efforts. But there are other projects of inbound marketing, such as technical SEO or marketing automation or building email workflows, that are also important beyond content creation. Let's look at a simple approach of content marketing. First and foremost, you're going to start off with building a story for your brand. What is your brand about? What does it stand for? How can you communicate your brand's legacy to your target audience? Once you have a brand story that you have created, you need to promote this story to your audience. So you will come up with multiple ideas of how to represent your story or how to showcase your story to your audience. You will then create a plan for putting out these ideas in front of your target audience. The plan usually involves a process of creating and distributing content to your target audience. Once you have put down a plan, maybe an annual calendar or a quarterly calendar, you actually start with creating the content. If it's a blog, then you will start writing the content. If it's a video, you might want to record it. If it's a podcast, again, you'll record the audio content. Once you have that content, you might want to repurpose it into multiple formats. For example, a video can be converted to a podcast can be converted to a blog can be converted to a SlideShare presentation, and so on. You would want to find different formats in which you could use the same content piece before it gets distributed to your audience. Once you have multiple formats of content, you then start to promote your content to your target audience. And you would also want to measure the performance of your content. Which type of content resonates with your audience? How many likes, shares, or comments have your blogs received? What are the number of video views that your video on YouTube has received? And finally, basis your measurement, you will then want to grow your content marketing engine. A critical component of content marketing is the ability for a brand to tell its story or storytelling. Every brand needs a story, whether it's a small brand, an SME company, or an established brand. This is how your audiences will remember you. If you don't have a story, or if you have not communicated your story to your audiences, then people who know about your brand might forget you. So every now and then a brand needs to communicate its story to its target audience. Like how Nike did for its 30th anniversary, they used Colin Kaepernick and they put up his story and used his face as the lead face for Nike's campaign. The Nike's campaign was based on believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. So is the case with Coca-Cola and their campaign on open happiness, which has translated to multiple languages across multiple geographies and regions globally. Simon Sinek has said that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Simon is an ex advertising professional turned into an author known for his concept of the golden circle. What is the golden circle? The golden circle actually relates to communication and how you are going to create or produce your content. It starts with why you are doing what you're doing, followed by how is it will help your audience, and finally what is it that you're offering, whether it's your products or your services. Most successful companies, whether it is Microsoft, Google, or Apple, or Coca-Cola, they start communicating inside out, which means they start with the why and then they go to the what. Let's look at Microsoft's mission statement. At Microsoft, our mission and values are to help people and businesses throughout the world to realize their full potential. This is why they do it, not what they do. We all know that Microsoft builds operating systems as well as office related software, but they don't put that up in their mission. They actually explain why they are doing what they are doing. Google's mission, on the other hand, is also to organize the world's information and make it accessible and useful. Again, this is their why. This is not what they do. So there are three elements of storytelling. The first is characters, conflict, and resolution. Let's try to understand each and every element of storytelling through a short story. All of you might have come across the nursery rhyme, I am a teapot. Let's just hear it out. I am a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, I just shout, tip me over and pour me out. Now this is a short story. Let's look at what are the three critical elements of storytelling. The character is the teapot around whom the content has been built. I am a little teapot, so the story is about the teapot. Now what's the conflict? The conflict is the problem that the character is facing. The problem here is when I get all steamed up, I just shout. And what's the resolution? The resolution is the solution to the character's problem. How will you solve the character's problem? So the solution here or the resolution here is tip me over and pour me out. Every company that is doing well with its content marketing strategy has a character, has a conflict and a resolution that they put out in every piece of content that they are creating. Let's have a look at character, conflict and resolution through one more real world example. This is Wistia, a company that provides professional video hosting with amazing viewer analytics, HD video delivery and marketing tool to help understand website visitors. Their why is to empower everybody to get more out of video. Let's have a look at a sample blog post that Wistia has created. The title of the blog post goes by Improve Your Audio or How to Reduce Echo in Your Video. As you can see here, the conflict is in the blog's title. And the conflict here is how to reduce echo in your video. Not all pieces of content will have the conflict in their title, but in this case the conflict is clearly evident. You can also see that the conflict is repeated in the blog post. Here a sentence that reads, bad sounding audio can ruin even the best of videos. This is the conflict that is available, again reinstated in the blog. Now, who's the character? If you read the blog in detail, you will understand that the blog is talking to the audience or people who are facing a problem with echo in their video. See how they use the words your and you to directly talk to the reader of the blog. What's the resolution here in the blog post? These are the solutions to the user's problem. So to reduce echo in your video, you would want to work in a controlled environment. You would want to select the right microphone and place it correctly. This is the resolution to the user's problem. Now let's look at the different types of content which are available and how you can go about creating these content pieces. So there are multiple formats of content available. Some of the common ones are infographics, which are nothing but long vertical graphics that include statistics, charts, graphs, and other information. Or you could have videos. Now videos can achieve multiple objectives. They can improve branding, they can demonstrate instructions, they can provide customer reviews, or they can even entertain your audience. Or you could have ebooks, which are a very common form of content marketing, especially in the B2B case. Ebooks have a variety of content pieces, but typically they follow a narrative from the start to the finish, and they are created from an educational informative purpose. Again, a lot of B2B companies would create content that target brand managers or specific audiences that they want to reach out to. Case studies are again another piece of content that are applicable from a B2B marketing perspective. It's stated that often the most compelling story for a brand comes from your customers. So it is important that you highlight your customers and showcase how you try to solve their problem or the challenge that they were facing. Another form of content is slide decks. Now slide decks tend to be highly designed. They are visual in format. They are minimalistic when it comes to usage of text, and they are very easy to consume. You could convert a blog post to a slide deck and put up the slide deck on SlideShare or Scribd, multiple formats or platforms where you could have your slide deck placed. Another format of content is web pages. Most of the websites have web pages, and web pages offer value, bring customers, and drive leads. Web pages have been the bedrock of communication when it comes to online marketing. You could also have webinars, which are nothing but online discussions among participants on a particular topic of interest. Again, B2B companies use webinars to engage with their audiences before they actually want to make a sale or want to get them to purchase something from their website. Finally, blogs, which is a great place to share educational content, great place to share thought leadership, make upcoming events or announcements by creating or regularly producing content. Now let's look at how do we go about creating different pieces of content, or how do you actually go about your content creation journey. To create content, what we believe is that you need to build content clusters. According to Anam Hussain and a study done by HubSpot, if you are creating content based on the content cluster model, there is a high chance that you will show up in search results. Now, what is this content cluster model? The content cluster model involves a central topic, also known as the hub page, and it involves multiple subtopics, also known as spoke pages. There are internal links from the central topic or the hub page to the spoke page and vice versa. This is an example of a content cluster for weight loss as the central topic. The central topic is weight loss, and there are multiple subtopics, including, let's say, the secret to weight loss is a good dietitian, or 8 foods that will help you to lose weight. Let's look at an example of how to build a content cluster. This is from HubSpot's content marketing repository. Justin works at HubSpot and he has created content around the content cluster model. His piece of content is from truck cap to truck camper. Now this is Justin's truck, a 2009 Ford F-250 Super Duty work truck. Justin and his partner Ariel decided to repurpose their truck into a storage unit that doubles as a camper. This is how it looked before and after. Their goal was to help other like-minded people or minimalists by documenting their entire experience, and for which they created content in multiple formats. Here are the 8 steps that they use to create a content cluster. First and foremost, you would want to identify the central topic. In this case, the central topic was how to build your own camper truck. This is the seed of the tree that we want to produce. It is important that you identify a broad central topic before you go ahead with producing content. Once you have identified a broad central topic, then you would want to make a list of all the supporting subtopics. These are your roots. We need to grow into a strong, compelling offer, which means your central or your core topic needs to be supported with relevant subtopics or related content pieces. Here are some of the content pieces that Justin thought were valuable. So he made a list of multiple subtopics and decided to choose only the strongest subtopics. Now this choice might be based on multiple aspects. It might be based on purely how many people are searching for these subtopics, or would these subtopics be of interest to the target audience. So from multiple topics, Justin and Ariel knocked out a few topics and were left with a few subtopics on which they wanted to create content. Once you have identified the core topic and made a list of subtopics, you need to start creating content for each of the subtopic. That's what Justin did. He started documenting his progress via Instagram. They also wrote a blog post for each and every subtopic. They also created a video for each blog post and put out that video on YouTube. They later on used their video on the blog. They've used Instagram extensively and put up photos and videos to tell their story and document their experience. Like I said, they inserted the YouTube video at the end of the post, which helped them get more traffic to each and every blog post. Once you have created content for the supporting topic, it is now your time to go ahead and create content for the central topic. You want to create a guide or a central piece of content that users or your target audiences can consume in exchange for the information that you want from them. So they adjusted, expanded upon each blog post and converted each blog post to a chapter of their comprehensive guide. They also created the rest of the content required to complete the guide. So they wrote an introduction to the guide and a conclusion to the guide, which then resulted in a detailed or comprehensive ebook. How do you grow your content machine? By continuously nurturing the growth of the roots, which means you need to distribute the content that you have created. So all the blog posts were updated with specific call to actions that took users to a particular page on the website. Initially, they didn't have a call to action. They just had a basic form which people could fill out for receiving email updates. Only at a later stage, when they had built the comprehensive ebook or guide, is when they replaced the form with a call to action. In this case, it was get the guide. So once you have your content offer, you can then start thinking of how to reuse this big piece of content that you have created. Again, if you reflect back on the content creation strategy, one piece of content marketing is repurposing the content that you already have. So how else might this content be used? The ebook or the guide that they have created, how else can it be used? Let's quickly recap our example. First and foremost, Justin and Ariel created multiple subtopical content in the form of Instagram posts, blogs, or videos. And then they went ahead with building the comprehensive guide, which was their central or core or pillar content or their hub content. Now you need to repurpose this guide in multiple formats. You could create a slide deck, you could launch a webinar, you could create an infographic or a video graphic. You could build out multiple series of emails that are sent out to users and so on. What Justin did was build a checklist. They first recycled the entire ebook to a checklist, which was available to the users for downloads. Their entire history of content creation for how to build a DIY camper truck is documented on their website. So now, what is good content? There are 7 qualifications of good content. Number 1 is that it engages individuals on their own terms using buyer personas, and we will talk about buyer personas shortly. Next, it is based on interactions the buyers have with your brand and mapped directly to the buying stages, which means you need to create content across different stages of the user's journey, and each content piece is mapped to a particular stage of the user. It tells a continuous story with a unified narrative that evolves through the customer's journey, which means that every content piece, whatever content you create, is actually tied with your brand story. It is the right fit for your channel, whether it's used on your website, in email, on social, or elsewhere, which means content can manifest into multiple formats that you could use to optimize and generate traffic for your website. It has a clear purpose and a call to action, which means, let's say, going back to our example of the DIY truck camper ebook, the clear call to action was to get the ebook or download the ebook. It has predefined metrics and is designed to be measurable. Whatever content you are creating, make sure that you understand what's the purpose of creating the content. What are the KPIs? How are you going to measure the performance for the content that you have created? And finally, it is created in the most efficient, effective way possible without sacrificing quality, which means that to get good at content marketing, you should be able to produce remarkable content that is of high quality. Like I said, let's look at what a buyer persona is. Now, a buyer persona is the target audience for whom you are creating the content. They are fictional representations of your buyers. While you are researching and creating content for these personas, you will get to know more about your buyers and you will define how it is best to market to these buyers. Your buyer personas will uncover your audience's top concerns, consumption preferences, their goals, all of which will help you to create content that engages your buyers. This is a sample buyer persona of for HR management software. So we give the persona a name. In this case, it is sample Sally, and then we define multiple aspects for the buyer persona. What is their background? So here in this case, Sally is the head of human resources. She is married with 2 children. What is their demographic profile? Sally is between 30 to 45 years old and she comes from a family that has dual income. She is mostly a suburban dwelling person. What are the different identifiers? So she has calm demeanor, she has an assistant who is screening calls, and she asks to receive collaterals or mails printed to her. What are some of her professional goals? She wants to keep employees happy, she wants to keep turnover low, she wants to support her legal and finance team. What are some of the challenges that she is facing? Getting everything done with a small staff, or rolling out changes of the HR management software to the entire company. And how can this HR management software actually help Sally? It can make it easy to manage all employee data in one place, and it is easier to use the software to integrate with legal and finance teams. You could also interview some of the customers to get real quotes of how they use their HR management software. You would also want to determine what are some of the common objections or why someone would not want to use your HR management software. So they might be worried with loss of data while they are transitioning to a new system, or they don't want to train the entire company on how to use the new system. Based on definition of your buyer persona, you will create the marketing message or the brand message. In this case, the marketing message is the integrated HR database management. And based on your marketing message, you would want to write down an elevator pitch that describes what your product or your service is in simple sentences. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video on content marketing. Have a good day.